Gentlemen, boys, and girls, welcome. Welcome back to the Piper Sports Podcast. It has been a while. It's been a significant period of time since you've last seen a video on my YouTube channel. The last one was, I believe, December 3rd, and that was on CPR, Colorado Public Radio host Vic Vela, and his experience with HIV. Now, last actual sports video that I've done has been a significant period of time. I want to say back almost since Halloween. I think I did it at the beginning of the NBA season, and I'm now jumping into the NBA season now, really far into the season, actually pretty much at the halfway point. And speaking of at the halfway point, there's two real special things that happen and two things I'm going to touch on in this video. I'm going to talk about the trade deadline, which occurred today at 1 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, 3 p.m. Eastern. And I will also talk about the All-Stars. The NBA All-Stars, Team Giannis versus Team LeBron, and end up seeing what the hell happened, who got snubbed, and, kind of the generic thoughts overall of what the teams and who I really think is going to win this weekend. Not that it matters too much. A little bit of Kobe Bryant, but, I want to keep things light, a little bit lighter than, that news. Well, speaking of, first, we're going to talk about the trade deadline, some of the big things that happened. Something that was rumored to happen initially was the Timberwolves targeting D'Angelo Russell and potentially putting Wiggins into a trade for D'Angelo Russell to the Warriors. And it ended up happening. The Warriors and the Wolves swapped Russell and Wiggins, while the Warriors end up getting, I believe, a first and second round pick in 2021. So, overall, I think it's a good trade for both teams. The Timberwolves got who they were targeting. They got a point guard, and that point guard will make a big difference for them, especially with Kat, their friends. I think that is a really good matchup, having D'Angelo Russell and Kat together. I don't think they're contenders. I don't think it'll make them that much better this year, but potentially in the offseason, if they can make a move for a big-time player, the Timberwolves might be a good team next year, and we'll see what ends up happening with them. And in that trade, the Warriors end up getting Andrew Wiggins. So that makes their 1, 2, 3, and 4 being their point guard, shooting guard, small forward, and power forward being Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Andrew Wiggins, and Draymond Green, with whoever they want to run at the 5. When everybody is healthy, that is an awesome lineup, and I really like this for Andrew Wiggins. I think it puts him in a system that he can succeed in more, and overall, I think it does really well for both teams. Both got what they wanted. It was just an equal trade on either side. The second trade I would like to discuss is the Clippers landing two players, Marcus Morris and Isiah Thomas, the 5'9" short king. So it ended up being a 3-team trade between the LA Clippers, New York Knicks, and Washington Wizards. Marcus Morris signed, I believe, in the offseason about a 3-year deal with the New York Knicks. Now gets traded to the Clippers, along with the Washington Wizards agreeing to trade Isiah Thomas to the Clippers. Now, Moe Harkless leaves to go to the Knicks, and Jerome Robinson goes to the Wizards. The Clippers didn't really give up that much for a backup small forward. And the thing is, with Paul George's injuries this year, I think that having a backup small forward to really work, he can be a potential starter. He has been a starter this season. But I think working behind Paul George, if Paul George gets injured, then he'll slot into that role really well and help out the team. Moe Harkless was their backup center, and they are doing okay with the center position right now. They have the Clippers have Montrezl Harrell and Ivan Zubac still on the roster as their centers, so they're doing perfectly fine. Moe Harkless leaving does not too much to the roster. Same with Jerome Robinson. They still maintain that dominant core and add good pieces. Overall, I think this trade was probably the best for the Clippers. The Knicks just kind of got rid of a contract. They kind of got rid of a guy. They didn't get much in return. Moe Harkless and a 2020 first-round pick. But Isiah Thomas also going to the Clippers adds another depth piece to their point guard rotation with Lou Will, Patrick Beverley, and now Isiah Thomas. I like that team. One trade that ended up really surprising me was Drummond to the Cavs. Now, we think Drummond was kind of being rumored to a bunch of contenders right before the deadline. I saw some of those rumors kind of die out. Some contenders were just not willing to pay him or not willing to give Pistons give the Pistons the chance and give them the actual capital they would need to get Drummond. But the Pistons kind of lost this trade to the Cavs. I don't think the Cavs will be able to maintain Drummond or sign him to a long-term deal, but Drummond is the league's leading rebounder and has been for a few years now. So we think Drummond, two-time All-Star, he can't opt out for his contract next season, which he probably will, to get a bigger contract somewhere in the realm of like $22 to $25 million. But the Pistons end up getting John Henson, Brandon Knight, and a second-round pick in 2023. So the Pistons really get nothing in return for a guy that they potentially could have got 2 first-round picks for or something like that earlier in the season. They end up being some losers come the trade deadline. And we'll go over 2 more trades. The Miami Heat finally get rid of Dion Waiters. Same with the Grizzlies. They end up getting rid of Andre Iguodala. And this is a 3-player for 3-player trade. It ended up going Miami Heat trading Dion Waiters, Justice Winslow, and James Johnson to the Grizzlies for Andre Iguodala, Solomon Hill, and Jay Crowder. I think this does wonders for both teams because Dion Waiters, Justice Winslow, James Johnson adds to the young core of the Grizzlies and sends them some players that they can really shake things up with and some expiring contracts that they can really work with and work in the offseason to either keep them or go after some more people. The Grizzlies trading Andre Iguodala, finally. He was not going to play for them, no matter really what happened. The Miami Heat end up getting him, and this puts Jimmy Butler and Andre Iguodala at the court at the same time. So you have 2 real dominant defensive threats that are out there. Andre Iguodala, we cannot forget, despite his age at 36 years old, was a NBA Finals MVP. He had a great series against LeBron James and the Cavaliers. He is not too far disposed from that. I won't say he would make the biggest difference in the world, but I think that veteran presence, along with Jimmy Butler, will add a new dynamic to this team, especially with the youngins like Tyler Hero. It'll make a very, very fun Miami Heat team to watch come the postseason. The last trade is this massive 4-team, 12-player trade that was with the Timberwolves, the Rockets, the Nuggets, and the Hawks. This trade, wow, it just kind of came out of nowhere. It was a bunch of players. It was a bunch of picks. What was kind of rumored for a while was the Rockets giving away Clint Capella. Not really giving him away, but trying to find something in return for him. The Houston Rockets acquire Robert Covington, and Clint Capella goes to the Hawks. That's kind of the 2 biggest pieces in this, besides some first-round picks being floated around to the Timberwolves and the Nuggets. Clint Capella going to the Hawks just makes this team way, way better, having a dominant defender, having somebody that's a really, really good rebounder, not the best scorer on the planet, but somebody that can average, 12 to 15 a night. Clint Capella goes onto a team with Trae Young, and I think that adds a lot, especially if he's defending the paint. Then it takes a little bit of the stress off of the defensive incapability of Trae Young, which will change in the future. Don't get me wrong, I'm not hating. Robert Covington to the Rockets, that makes them a very, very small team. You've heard this a lot. They no longer have their center, Clint Capella. And this really, really messes up their lineup because now PJ Tucker, who I believe is 6'7", 6'6", or 6'7", is going to be running the 5 for them. And in the playoffs, you need, I understand that you can run a small lineup, you can run a small team, but with this, I just don't understand it. It's not going to work. In the offseason, or in the postseason, when you're playing against Anthony Davis, Nikola Jokic, Rudy Gobert, you're not going to do so hot against teams with actual dominant bigs. Saying that, the Rockets have a 3-and-D player in Robert Covington, meaning he can shoot and he plays defense. And that's really, really good for them. I think it kind of spreads the floor a little bit more for Russell Westbrook and spreads the floor a little bit for James Harden. I think it sets this team up really, really well for the future, just not the postseason when things start kind of getting tough and you have to play a little bit more physical, them being the 5 with PJ Tucker running the 5. Now I will briefly go over the All-Star lineups. Now the All-Star lineups this season are kind of weird. There were a few players that I thought were snubbed, Devin Booker and Bradley Beal being 2 of them. I think it's crucial that the NBA kind of acknowledges that that's not exactly what they should have done. Team LeBron, however, starter, we have with the Lakers, Anthony Davis, LeBron James naturally. We have Kawhi Leonard on the Clippers, Luka Doncic on the Mavericks, and James Harden in Houston. Now, that lineup, it's exactly as you'd expect. Luka Doncic being the youngin in there. Kawhi Leonard making it this season despite kind of having a little bit lower performance than he did last year. Luka Doncic, he's just such a beast. James Harden averaging over 30 this year. Again, doing fantastic. The reserves for the West, Damian Lillard, Ben Simmons, Nikola Jokic, Jason Tatum, Chris Paul, Russell Westbrook, and Domantas Sabonis. It's a pretty cool lineup. I enjoy it. I think it will do okay for them. Okay, as it isn't filled with all-stars. Going to team Giannis, we have, naturally, Giannis Antetokounmpo. We have Joel Embiid, Pascal Siakam, Kemba Walker, Trae Young. It's interesting you see this kind of curve with, it's just an exponential growth with Trae Young and Luka Doncic. I can't wait to see their entire careers. You know, they were traded for each other on draft night. It's incredible to see their success and them continuing to be so good, both being all-star starters this year. The reserves for Team Giannis, we have Chris Middleton, Bam Adebayo, Rudy Gobert, Jimmy Butler, Kyle Lowry, Brandon Ingram, and Donovan Mitchell. So, Bam Adebayo, he is doing fantastic this year as a center. He's doing absolutely fantastic for what, his production was last year. He's just growing so exponentially and doing really well. It's good to see him on the All-Star reserves. Kyle Lowry makes it, which is kind of a shock because Bradley Beal didn't. Kyle Lowry is averaging less. He is on a more winningest team, more winninger team. Those aren't words, but I'll accept that. Despite being on that team, he has less stats. He's not doing as well as Bradley Beal is, but he still makes it in. It's really hard to see this snub. Bradley Beal is, I believe, the second player in history to average almost, 28.5 or 28.6 points, and then be put in this position. But it's unfortunate to see that. And at the end of it, I think if we're going to talk about this, we're going to say the reserves with Damian Lillard, Ben Simmons on Team LeBron, Damian Lillard, Ben Simmons, Jokic, Tatum, Chris Paul, Russell Westbrook, and Sabonis. That's just a far more stacked bench than Team Giannis with Middleton, Adebayo, Lowry, Ingram, and Mitchell. Now, there's a lot of scoring on the reserves. They have they have a lot of defense, actually. They have Rudy Gobert, Jimmy Butler. They have the big in Bam Adebayo. They have a really, really good defense, especially with Chris Middleton as well. But then you look at the reserves of Team LeBron, and you go, they have scoring, they have defense, same like Ben Simmons and Lillard. They have playmaking and ability with Nikola Jokic. They have Jason Tatum, the heir to Kobe Bryant's throne. That's a joke. It's not a good one, and I'm sorry. Jason Tatum, they have Chris Paul, another playmaker. They have Russell Westbrook. This team is just full of playmakers. It's actually kind of a little bit like LeBron's style, a lot of slashers, playmakers, people that can do really everything despite, what position they play. Giannis's team is just kind of a little bit longer, a little bit more lengthy pause. But overall, I would go with Team LeBron winning this. I think they're going to make it to 124. First, if you don't know the rules to the All-Star game, it's a little bit different this year. It is going to be, no matter what the score is at the fourth quarter, the winningest team. So if one team has 100 points and they are the leading team, the first team to get 24 more will be that champion. So if somebody has 100 points and then the next team has 90 points, so say LeBron has 100 and Giannis has 90, then it's going to be the first team to make it to 124. It's kind of odd rules. I don't know how to feel about it. It is what it is. I'm not going to argue it. It's just kind of whatever. Will I be watching it? Maybe. If I have nothing better to do, then I will be probably sleeping. But if I can't go to bed, then I'll be watching the NBA All-Star Game this year. I hope you all enjoyed this episode of the Piper Sports Podcast, NBA edition, NBA All-Star, NBA Trade Deadline edition. I appreciate you listening. I appreciate you watching. Please click the subscribe button down below. Like it, and not the subscribe button, but the video. Like that, and then comment your opinions on the trade deadline. Who are the winners? Who are the losers? And finally, who do you think's going to win the All-Star game? Thank y'all. I appreciate you. I'll see you next time. Hopefully not in like 2 months.